Hello and welcome to The Changing Paradigm. I'm Dr. Patricia Hill, and today my guests are Dr. Andrea Neal and Nicole Argyropoulos of Blue Ocean Sciences. Nicole and Andrea are here in Aspen speaking at the Aspen Environmental Forum. And you're speaking particularly about the health of our oceans.
Yes. I've been in 3 sessions, one talking about ocean acidification, one on marine debris, and one talking about our marine protected areas.
Our show today is called Talking Trash because we're going to talk a lot about how our oceans are being trashed, literally and figuratively. We're all aware of the recent oil spill, but there's much more of a problem than that with debris that's in the ocean.
There's a lot of environmental problems. Ocean acidification, we look at climate change, ocean warming events, changes in our currents, overfishing, marine pollution, environmental toxins that impact not only ocean but ourselves, and of course where we talk about very visual things like marine debris and oil.
Well, even though we're far from the oceans here in Colorado, and we don't really think that much about the oceans until something like an oil spill happens, we are very dependent on those oceans. Without the oceans, none of us will survive on this planet.
Absolutely. The ocean is our life support system. We get approximately 85% of the world's oxygen supply from the ocean. Most people don't realize the air they're breathing is coming from the ocean.
Really?
We also get our largest supply of carbon from our deep ocean environments. Approximately 75 to 85% of the world's carbon supply is in our deep ocean environments. So the ocean is integral to our life support. And whatever we do to us, due to the ocean, directly impacts us as well.
I understand you're doing some outreach programs, some educational programs, even with children, teaching them about the oceans.
So Andrea and I met working for Jean-Michel Cousteau at Ocean Future Society in Santa Barbara, and it was a program called Ambassadors of the Environment, where we take kids who are in schools, even in LA or throughout the coast or inland, and we take them to the ocean or we take them hiking, and we integrate them into the environment and teach them basic biology, ecology, and sustainability principles. And it's been amazing. Even a child that maybe lives 15 minutes from the ocean has never even experienced going to the beach or has never put their feet in the sand, and having that first realization, even at the age of 12, is incredible. And we've just seen that it's been so effective, and we see the kids come back every year, and it's just amazing to see how much that imprint has made a great difference.
I think in general people are pretty disconnected from nature.
Absolutely.
Especially if they live in big cities. And as you said, children who may live very close to the ocean have never even been there. So it's important, I think, to start at an early age and teach children to reconnect with nature and to have some respect for this planet that they live on.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think it's imperative.
Wonderful. Well, maybe you could tell us a bit more about the work that you do. What is Blue Ocean Sciences?
Blue Ocean Sciences is a not-for-profit that we developed to increase our collaborations to make impacts on ocean health issues. So we work with scientists, we work with government organizations, nonprofit organizations, and the general public to create cohesive programs together to make good impacts on our problems that we have on the oceans. Recently, we've been working with NASA, Craig Venture Institute, the California EPA, University of Victoria, University of Santa Barbara, California, University of California at Irvine, University of Florence, and Columbia University, creating these collaborative programs to come up with creative solutions on how can we clean up what's out there, how can we make an impact on what we're seeing, how can we monitor and assess the impact we're having on the ocean.
And I understand that this organization was recently formed. You've not been in existence very long, but you're really doing some wonderful things and attracting some support.
Yes, absolutely. We started Blue Ocean Sciences after our experiences with Project Kaisei, and we realized how important it was to create this collaborative approach. So as we were creating our collaborations and developing for our continued research, we decided we need to be an independent agent to foster these collaborative approaches and to have good connections with people. It's not about us being the stars or being egos. What we want to do is just get the job done. Create this network of people that can integrate with each other and bounce off each other's ideas.
Wonderful. That's, you know, sometimes scientists are sort of ivory tower isolated from people, but it sounds as if you're really trying to integrate it and go to a grassroots level.
Absolutely, and to kind of piggyback off of Andrea's comment, when we were on Project Kaisei, we kind of took the scientific approach. We were on the science team, so we took the most unbiased approach, which was looking at it from a research perspective. When you go 1,000 miles off the coast of San Francisco and you see plastic and marine debris in all of your samples, and you just realize how insidious this problem really is, then you have to start thinking, this is not just a research perspective. We can't just take the science and say, hey, we have a problem. We have to integrate, and we have to work with policy, we have to work with business, we have to work with education, and make it an integrative, collaborative solution, because without that, nothing is going to be solved.
Absolutely. It's not just a scientific problem. It's a problem of consumerism and a problem of people not being conscious of recycling or of just the mess that they're making here and taking some responsibility.
Absolutely. And just to create an image, think that the U.S. alone creates 2 million plastic bottles, just plastic bottles, every day. And every day. And as we know, as of now, we don't know if plastic biodegrades. So think everything that we've ever made is still here in terms of plastic, and so where's it going? Who is it affecting? What ecosystems is it affecting?
Imagine, I've been in a lot of archaeological digs, and there are things there that are 10,000 years old. Wouldn't it be disgusting to, in 10,000 years, have a pile of plastic trash, which is probably the direction we're headed in, unless we figure out what to do with this problem. And a lot of that is going into the oceans. And people figure, I think in the past somehow people thought, well, if it goes into the ocean, it'll just sort of go away. It'll just disappear somewhere and we won't have to bother with it. So people dump their waste into the ocean.
Well, that's one of the hardest parts, is that when it does go that far off into the sea, it becomes these confetti-sized pieces. And that's so hard to clean up when it's in a vast, northwest Pacific gyre, and it's circulating in this vast expanse. So, and not only that, approximately 60% of it fouls and goes into the soil sediment. So with that type of, think of that image. What is really effective is thinking about new industry standards and new production of plastic and other packaging material. And on top of that, having a life cycle analysis from production to landfill. Really,
so we're not just talking about oil fouling our oceans here. Plastic and other materials.
So hydrocarbons, which would be what you're associating with oil, persistent organic pollutants, your pesticides that are entering our aquatic waterways, medicines, metal oxide nanoparticles like we have in our new cell batteries. We have no idea how all of these interact, and we do have the idea on some of the toxicity levels of many of them, but we really haven't had enough research to understand what they are doing altogether.
Well, and these things don't have to be directly dumped into the ocean. They go into the ocean from rivers. They are seeping into the ocean from the shorelines. So it sounds as if the ocean is just becoming a big dump, basically. And I think we're all starting to realize that something is not right here, when the fish are being poisoned, or there are some genetic anomalies that are happening. And that's going to happen to us if we don't stop this problem.
We've already killed 90% of our large fish species in the last 40 years.
90%.
90%.
In the last 40
So that's your
years.
sharks.
In the last 4 years.
And your tunas. And those are your apex predators. Those are our counterparts in the ocean. And we see with our large counterpart, the orca, the killer whale, we're already starting to see, because of environmental toxins, we're seeing that the young are not out-surviving the old. They're developing neurological disorders. They are not able to reproduce. And we're starting to see those same effects on humans on land.
How disgusting and how tragic. We're fouling our own nest here, aren't we?
Absolutely, and it's easy to disguise too. I mean, you look out into the ocean and it's blue and it's
beautiful.
beautiful,
Looks so pretty.
and it looks like this vast expanse, and then you can never tell if it's a fertile MPA or is it, a wasteland.
Well, I think where we do notice it is along the shorelines.
Exactly.
I've been to a lot of beaches where there are just stacks of plastic bottles and diapers and syringes and all kinds of awful junk that has washed up onto the beaches. But that's just not just on the beaches.
Exactly.
It's all over.
in the
It's
deep in
out
the
there
ocean.
in the ocean. It's on the ocean floor. It's everywhere.
Nothing
And
disappears.
no, nothing disappears. I think this is a philosophy we have to adapt here. For many years in the past, I think we've thought, well, we can bury this waste, or we could dump it somewhere, or we could hide it someplace, and it'll just go away.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
No.
It's coming back to haunt us. So, wow. Are there solutions to this problem?
Well, absolutely. There's definitely beacons of hope. When we look at Sweden, for instance, they were starting to see polybrominated diethyl ethers, so your brominated flame retardants, collecting in their sediment in the Baltic Sea. And so they banned it. And now the levels that they're seeing in human breast milk and in their sediments is decreasing at a fast rate.
So it can change pretty
It can
quickly.
change pretty quickly on some of these persistent organic pollutants, not all of them, but some of them. We also see the marine protected areas. We see that they are being successful, that they're bringing back fish populations. It'll be many years before we see the full impact of what they are, but preserving areas of our ocean for our future and for our future generations is very important.
Well, I think you just said the magic word there, future. You know, in the past, I think we've been very short-sighted. We haven't thought about the future or future generations or the future of this planet. People have just gone out and exploited anything they can, and they don't think about the consequences. But we're starting to see the consequences now, so hopefully it's not too late to turn this around.
Yeah, it is a little scary. In the major congresses I've been in the last year, you hear scientists talking about extinction events.
Oh my God. Yes, well, I know. And that's not just of fish in the ocean, but of ourselves.
Exactly.
Yes, we are getting close to an extinction level.
Yeah.
So that's a very shocking thing to hear, but if we do not wake up, we are going to go the way of the dinosaurs, basically.
Yeah.
The way of the dinosaurs. And they've also been predicting 50 more years of fish.
50 more years of fish.
So, I mean, we're not telling people stop eating fish, but there's a lot of really important things you can do. There's a great iPhone application called Seafood Watch, put on by the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Basically, it just has like a best practices. If you go to a restaurant, the best fish you can eat, ones to avoid,
the ones that are
and
the
ones that
least
are middle.
polluted. I am having a little bit of fear rising up in myself. I'm feeling this feeling of panic, like, wow, this is terrible. What on earth are we going to do? Well, literally, what on earth are we going to do about this? How are we going to stop this or turn it around or clean it up? But how are we going to do this?
Well, I tell people two things, because I get this question a lot. If you know all these things and the things going on in the world, what are you doing? Like, why doesn't this scare you? And I tell people there's always hope. I believe in human ingenuity. What it really comes down to is that we have the power of one and the power of our community. And what this means is that as individuals, we have that ability to make very small, life-altering changes. Use your reusable bag. Use your reusable coffee cup. They make a huge impact. And if you get your buddy to do it, imagine what you can all do together. If you get your community to do it, it's a massive impact you can have on the environment.
That's a good point.
And what we were talking about earlier about having an appropriate dissemination of information on what is actually happening, being able to map these toxins, being able to state statements like we know that this is existing is really important, because if we take those statements to industry, then we can convince them, hey, let's create a green chemistry solution. Let's have plastics that biodegrade or that are lightweight but are better for the planet than what we have right now. So those are some of the things that we're working on.
I remember when John Denver used to say this is Spaceship Earth and we are the crew.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we don't work together, this thing is going to crash, you know.
absolutely.
So that is the change in the paradigm that needs to happen, and it sounds as if you're really making some progress with that in a lot of ways. Our guests have been Dr. Andrea Neal and Nicole Argyropoulos. Andrea is the president and founder of Blue Ocean Sciences, and Nicole is the co-founder. And you're doing some wonderful work. I congratulate you and encourage you, and I encourage all of you to get involved in any project that you can that relates to what we've been talking about today. And particularly, you can get in touch with these two ladies and see what you can do to make a difference. So thank you all for joining us today. I'm Dr. Patricia Hill, and you've been watching The Changing Paradigm.